What's up guys, I'm JayJT and today we're going to go over some class setups for the base ammunition version of the As Val. We're not going to go over the SPP rounds in this video, but I am going to be doing another video for that. To kick things off, I'm going to go ahead and go over the pros and cons of using the As Val. I'm not going to go super into detail on this stuff, but I am going to let you know how it performs in these different areas. When it comes to ADS speed, it is tied for the fastest in class for the assault rifles, so it has very good ADS speed. It has faster than average movement speed. It's also tied for fastest in class strafing speed, so you'll be able to strafe pretty well with the As Val. It has faster than average reload speed also for the assault rifles, and it has the best hip fire area in the assault rifle class, so it's going to hip fire a lot better than the rest of the assault rifles. It also has a very high fire rate, so it's less punishing for missing shots. Moving on to the cons for using the As Val, the first would be that it has the slowest bullet velocity in class, and by a lot also. It's slower even than all of the SMGs except for the Fennec. So the As Val has extremely slow bullet velocity, so this is going to give you a lot of problems. Once you get past 50 meters, you're going to start seeing this for sure, like in ground war and Warzone. In multiplayer, you won't notice it as much because most of your gunfights will be within 50 meters. But if you decrease that bullet velocity with attachments, you'll definitely start noticing that even a little before the 50 meter mark. So just keep that in mind. Even when you use the OSA barrel, which is the only barrel that increases your bullet velocity, it still has slower bullet velocity than all of the SMGs except for the Fennec. So just keep that in mind. Another con would be its low magazine size. It has a 20 round mag instead of a 30 round mag, and with the high fire rate you will be burning through that pretty quickly. And the last con that we'll talk about is it has a very high magnitude of recoil. So the only weapon I found that had more recoil within the 30 round mag was the Odin, and the As Val was right behind the Odin for worst recoil in the assault rifle class. Next, we're going to have a look at our damage and ranges for the As Val. It only has two different damage ranges, and the first one is 0 to 32 meters. In this range, it's going to take 3 to 4 shots to kill, and headshots will not reduce the shots to kill even if you only hit the head. So you don't really have to worry about headshots here. Just know that in order to get that 3-shot kill, you have to at least hit 2 shots to the chest or above, and the third shot can land anywhere for you to get that 3 shots to kill. If you hit less than 2 shots to the chest or above, it will result in a 4-shot kill. So this means if you hit the stomach or if you hit the limbs. Our next damage range is going to be everything after 32 meters. In this range, it's going to take you 3 to 5 shots to kill, but it's mostly going to take you 4 to 5 shots to kill. The reason for that is in order to get that 3-shot kill, you have to hit at least 2 to the head and 1 to the chest, and this is very unrealistic. Once you get past 32 meters, you're rarely ever going to have that happen. In order to get a 4-shot kill, you just have to get at least 2 to the chest or above to get that 4-shot. The other shots can land anywhere, but if you land less than 2 to the chest or above, it will result in a 5-shot kill. So the important thing to take home here is you don't have to worry too much about headshots, but you want to be hitting the enemy in the upper chest in order to get those reduced shots to kill. When it comes to hardcore mode, in that 0 to 32 meter range, you're going to always be killing in 1 shot. Then when we move on to that 32 meter range and beyond, it's going to be a 1-shot kill to the head and a 2-shot kill everywhere else. And now it's time for us to go ahead and get into our class setups, but before we get into that, I want you guys to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and leave a comment below telling me what your favorite setup for the As Val is if you don't like my setups, or tell me which one of my setups you like the best. But now let's go ahead and get into it. I have 3 class setups for you guys, one of which is sort of my end-all be-all best class setup that I like to use across the board. If I only had one choice to use for the rest of the game's life cycle, it would be that setup. And then I have 2 other setups that are more of a unique circumstance kind of setup, and our first one's going to be for hardcore mode. With this setup, I have the VLK 200mm OSA barrel, the tack laser, the FSS International Generation 4 grew stock, Merc foregrip, and stippled grip tape. With this setup, the pros are going to be that we have a 26% increase to our range, and this is going to help us get those one-shot kills further out, because once that first damage range drops off, we no longer get one-shot kills unless we hit the head. So this will help us get those one-shot kills a little further out. It also increases our bullet velocity by 29%, which isn't necessary for hardcore mode, but it's a nice little bonus that just comes with it. Our ADS speed is going to be improved by 33 milliseconds, which is around 2 frames, and this is a somewhat noticeable effect and will definitely help you in some gunfights. And this is actually the whole purpose of this setup in hardcore mode. We want to be able to react faster. Accuracy isn't as important. You still need to be accurate, but you only have to hit that 1 or 2 shots, so you want to be able to react a lot more quickly, and that's kind of what we're setting this class up for. Our sprint out time and tactical sprint out times are also improved by 2 and 4 frames respectively, so that's an absolutely massive improvement for our tactical sprint out time. It's going to help us react more quickly when we get caught sprinting. Our vertical recoil is also reduced by 17%, and this will just help you at longer ranges, or when you miss shots, it'll make it a little easier to get back on target. This thing is still going to have a pretty decent amount of recoil, but since we're in hardcore mode and we only have to land that 1 shot, I didn't feel that we needed to stack another attachment onto the recoil. I felt that we needed more ADS speed. And our hipfire area is also improved by 19%, making it even easier to hipfire with this weapon when it already has good hipfire properties. So that's also great for when you get caught sprinting or come up on an enemy unexpectedly. You're most likely going to hit those shots. The cons for this setup are going to be that you have 1% reduced movement speed because of the Merc foregrip, and this isn't really even going to be very noticeable. It just brings it down to around average for an assault rifle. And our strafing speed is going to be reduced by 8%, which isn't really important in hardcore mode. Since you die so fast, you're rarely going to have time to strafe in a gunfight in hardcore mode anyway, so this doesn't really impact you at all. I didn't use the Stovall skeleton stock with this class because the grew stock increases your ADS speed a little more than the skeleton stock, while the skeleton stock improves your strafing speed. And I felt that the ADS speed is more important, while the strafing speed doesn't matter nearly as much for the reason we just discussed. I also didn't use the 30 round mag or sleight of hand because I felt that 20 rounds was more than enough in a mode where it only takes 1 to 2 shots to kill, so you can focus on other attachments. Our next class setup is going to be a setup for kill confirmed, and the purpose behind this setup is to help us get those tags without penalizing us as much, because I like to win no matter what game mode I play. So in kill confirmed, I do like to go for the tags. A lot of players don't, and they just kind of go around and kill, but if you want to win, you need to collect those tags to help your team out. So this setup is going to be to help us be less punished by sprinting. You're going to have to sprint a lot more often to get those tags, and so we want to reduce our sprint out time as much as possible. Here I have the VLK 200mm OSA barrel, I have the 5mW laser, the VLK Strelick stock, stippled grip tape, and sleight of hand for our attachments. And the pros for this setup are going to be that 26% increased range and 29% increased bullet velocity from the barrel. This is going to help us get those 3-shot kills a little bit further out, a little more easily. Our reload speed is going to be improved by around 35% to combat that 20 round mag. Our recoil is going to be reduced by around 20% thanks to that Strelick stock. It actually helps out more than the Merc foregrip does, and this will help us with our longer range kills. Our hip fire spread is going to be improved by around 56%, and this brings it all the way down to SMG-like hip fire spread. So if you do get caught sprinting while you're picking those tags up and you need to get that gun up, you're going to have very accurate hip fire. But our most important improvement of all is going to be that our sprint out time is improved by 80 milliseconds, or about 5 frames, and our tactical sprint out time is improved by 150 milliseconds, or about 9 frames. And to put this in perspective, Most guns take around 9 to 12 frames to kill if you land every single shot, so this improvement to your sprint out time is absolutely massive. But moving on to the cons of this setup, our ADS speed is slowed very slightly by only 1 frame, and this is going to be hardly noticeable unless you're in a very highly competitive setting. Our strafing speed is reduced by around 16%, and this brings it down to just slightly faster than the slowest assault rifles, so this is definitely a noticeable reduction if you like to strafe a lot, but the pros I feel outweigh these cons. The final con is going to be that your laser is visible to the enemy from that 5 milliwatt laser. The only time it's not visible is if you're sprinting or if you're aiming down sights. So you just have to be wary while you're not aiming down sights, and while you're not sprinting, you just have to be careful where you're putting that laser. You don't want to let the enemy know you're coming before you come around the corner. I decided not to go with the Merc foregrip or the 30 round mag with this class. Instead, I used sleight of hand. And I did that because I didn't want our movement speed to be reduced. This combination of the Merc foregrip and 30 round mag reduces your movement speed by around 2.7%, which this is a very noticeable reduction to your movement speed. And I wanted us to be able to move as quickly as possible to be able to get those tags and move on and not be penalized as much. So that's why I didn't use those. Finally, we move on to my personal favorite setup. And this is the setup that I would recommend using in just about any multiplayer game mode, and maybe even ground war. In Warzone, I would make a slight change to it, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. This class setup is going to have the VLK 200mm OSA barrel, VLK Strelick stock, the Merc foregrip, stippled grip tape, and sleight of hand. And the purpose of this setup is to make up for the things that the As Val is bad at. And that would be the low magazine size and the high recoil that this gun has. So the pros that we're going to see with this setup are going to be our 26% increase to range and 29% increase to bullet velocity that we see because of that OSA barrel. We're also going to have a 2 frame and 4 frame reduction to our sprint out and tactical sprint out times respectively, thanks to the stippled grip tape. Our hip fire will be improved by 19%, and this isn't necessary for this setup, but it's just an added bonus that we get because of the Merc foregrip. The real improvements that we're looking at here though are our 35% increase to reload speed, and our recoil is reduced by 37%. So this thing is going to be a lot more accurate at mid to slightly long range, which is where we want to be using this weapon. And even at close to mid range, this is going to make a big impact, especially if you're trying to pick people off of head glitches. The reason why I didn't go for a 30 round mag on this particular setup is because the 30 round mag decreases your movement speed by 1.7% and very slightly affects your ADS speed. And I felt that it was better to be able to reload faster than to throw 10 more rounds in the weapon and also move a lot slower, because that 1.7% decrease will bring you down to one of the slowest assault rifles in the class. And when you combine that with the Merc foregrip, it makes it so that the As Val moves like an LMG basically. So that's why I didn't use it. But the change that I would make to this class for Warzone though would definitely be to take that sleight of hand off and put the 30 round mag on. Because in Warzone you obviously have to deal more damage, so you're going to need more rounds to take out enemies that have armor on. Moving on to the cons of this setup, we're going to see a 2 frame slower ADS speed, which isn't the end of the world, but it is somewhat noticeable, and a 1% movement speed reduction, which you will hardly notice. This just brings the As Val from above average to around average assault rifle movement speed. Something that you will notice for sure is a 24% slower strafing speed, and this is a pretty massive reduction to our strafing speed. You're not going to be able to strafe anywhere close to as well as normal, but strafing isn't nearly as important for assault rifles as it is for SMGs, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. That is going to wrap things up though for all my class setups. Thank you guys for watching, and if you liked the video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel to come back for more. I'll be doing a video on the SPP round soon as well, so be sure to look out for that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.